The cloud. Hello. Well, hi
Hi.
Loretta. We are doing our Micah. We are continuing our study on the book of Micah.
Yeah, 3 and 4.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Do you still
Yes.
remember? Like, do you want to share something from like last week that you remember? That we talked about.
Uh,
I know we were kind of going back and forth to like different audiences that were discussed.
yeah.
Like we were
So
like,
what I clearly remember is the leaders, talking about the leaders that steal people's property and like cheat them out of their stuff, like swindling people and basically all of that. Like we're talking about people in power because you can only do those things if you have power, right? So
right,
we
yeah.
yeah.
The one is like the one that the part where in the text mentioned something about you sleep on your plans and then you execute it like the following day.
I've been thinking about that all week, even like with little
Really?
things. I know, because like I think one time my sibling did something, and then I was planning my revenge when I was going to bed, and I'm like, "No, you can't do that. Stop
Hmm.
it!" Like, I was like,
Hmm.
it was just something little, but then I felt so guilty. I'm like, I shouldn't be planning my revenge. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I did that to my sister too. Like, I think we went back and forth for a long time about this like little
Really?
prank that we had for a long time. And yeah, it reached even other countries because she went and visited other countries and then she opened her luggage and then my prank was like right there.
Oh my god.
You know, well, our capacity, right, to plan and then to execute it. But then
Yeah.
this Bible was saying like, we do that in like next level.
Yeah, like sleeping and devising evil plans. That's a lot, because you
Yeah.
don't even get a peaceful sleep, and it's like your mind is just working on evil, not being productive at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think because I remember we were a little bit confused. And for us, like confusion is something that leads to, hopefully illumination. Like it's not a turn off point
Right.
if things are a little bit confusing when we read.
Mm.
And I was talking to my husband. I said, no wonder we don't talk about Micah. No wonder
I
nobody
know.
talks about prophets.
It's so confusing. It's all of this stuff that you're trying to figure out, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah. And he is yeah, because my husband is an ancient Near Eastern, languages and
Mm-hmm.
civilization. So like Old Testament history background, that's his thing. So
Mm.
after our conversation, so I said, okay, so no wonder like nobody talks about Micah, nobody talks about like prophets. Like, yeah, I just leave it there to the sideline because it's so confusing. But I
Yeah.
think it shouldn't turn us off, right? When things are confusing, like I think it should actually be another venue for us to explore and like think
Right.
and like deeper.
Yeah. I agree.
So part of that process, I realized that God was talking to the same group of people because it was divided. Now it's divided. It used to be one, so now there's like a north and south kingdom. So
Okay.
even though he's shifting back and forth, like this is the same people of God that he was referring to.
Oh, so when he was talking about Jerusalem and was it Samaria or where was it?
Yeah. It
So he
used to
was
be
actually
one
talking about the
kingdom.
same. But
Yeah.
now it's divided.
Yes. But they're
Okay,
doing
all
the
right.
same thing.
But wait, so are you saying that during that time, like his time, it was one thing? So he's technically talking to the same. No, okay. I'm
So
confused.
I know. So Micah now is living in the time wherein they're divided.
Oh,
But
I see. Okay.
history, they're one tribe. So then they divided
Um,
into North and South tribe.
okay.
But both are guilty in God's eyes.
Okay.
So, now reading it like, oh, okay. So God is saying, like, you're both guilty.
Hmm.
And the people that you're oppressing is not the people of God. The people who actually lives in your city. you know? So now
Yeah.
it's like the script like flipped. So
Okay.
the leaders that he was referring to, and now we're going to talk about is there a question on from this book, right? We're continuing
Yeah.
this book. So notice especially so this is the question that we're going to talk about. Notice especially the contrast between the true prophets and the false prophets. So let's talk about the true prophets. So really Micah is addressing like the people of God, like the leaders, and now we're going through the prophets. So this is
Okay.
this
So
is a
it's
hot topic.
okay. All right. So I guess we were thinking about leaders. Like for me, I was thinking about national leaders, like people, like ministers and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that run the country. I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about church leaders. I that didn't even cross my mind. So I'm like,
Well,
no,
it
now
could be
in
both
this verse,
though.
it could be both. That's true. But I'm talking about last week. Last week that didn't cross my mind. But from 3 and 4, I think it's targeting, it's more explicit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
last week it could have been any leader. Yeah.
true. But isn't that intense? So that means even the people of God who are leaders are committing this things.
Yeah.
And God was saying, like, no,
This is not how to do my
enough.
work. Right.
Yes. So can you imagine Micah?
Yep, walking through the town.
Yeah, on such a juicy topic. If you do that, if you post this on your Facebook, you will be targeted on all sides. If
Oh,
this is Micah, I'm posting this on Facebook, you guys, la la la. Oh,
people
there's
will
gonna be
come for your head.
yeah, gazillion comments.
Yeah.
You know?
Even talking with your friends, like sometimes these things come up and you're like, okay, slow down. Like we're just having a chat here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I can't imagine him going through a whole town and talking to, and I mean, he's not really someone with much power, right? I mean, in the people's eyes, he's just a common person, and
Yeah,
he's calling them out and dropping facts. that
yeah,
that must have
yeah,
been scary.
yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that is scary.
Yeah.
And also no wonder, not no wonder. Um, I mean, this is a good time for us to reflect, especially with what's happening in so many, different in other nations too, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, giving me chills. Okay, tell me, yeah, how do you want to share your insights from like true prophets,
um
just from like
I'm gonna start with,
chapters 3 and 4?
yeah, so first of all, the first part is scary. Like when he talks about devouring people's flesh, and that was like, whoa. You know how he's saying that people, like the leaders, if they're not doing the work well, if they're disobeying God and all of that, and he goes on to talk about what's gonna happen to them. That was
Mm,
quite scary. Like,
mm-hmm.
a bit gory, but
Yeah.
sinful leaders. It's so the false prophets is basically saying that a time will come when I think they realize all of the bad deeds and they cry out to God for help, and then he will turn around. He will not answer them because it's like this whole time you were supposed to be, working for me. You're supposed to be doing the right thing and doing the
Mm,
just thing, but you're not doing it. But a time is going to come when they'll cry out to God for help. I think out of the realization that they've done wrong, and God's not going to answer them.
mm-hmm.
And so false prophets basically mislead people, and
Mm,
they sort of get people to pay for their services, right? It's not, I think in, is it 7, where he says that the prophets will be ashamed, the almond readers will be humiliated. Um, and 6, he says that
ooh.
you'll no longer be able to read the almonds. Well, I think that comes before. but it's something about paying. I don't know if it was 3 or 4, but paying for reading almonds. And I think it's like prophecies, like, because sometimes people go to their leaders to seek help and all of that, and
Right.
they're made to pay so much for it, for those services, which is, I mean, I don't think that's right. To be like
Yeah.
selling God's word.
Yeah. Yeah, because like in the past, we learned from the other Old Testament stories wherein the king would say, "Hey, should we go to here? Should we go to there?" And then like they would inquire of the Lord through the prophets, and the prophets is like, "Yes, God is saying go there." But, no, God is saying stop,
Right. So
or like
making
no.
people pay for that, I
Yeah.
don't think that was God's plan, because if you're put there to serve,
Mm,
if you're ordained by God, like that shouldn't be how, like, I don't know. That's what I think.
yeah.
And from reading this, and then also the false prophets are not committed to justice. It's almost as if they have like an alternate plan, not God's plan. It's like they're there for themselves, not to do God's work.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says that leaders take bribes when they decide legal cases. They
Ooh, where
proclaim.
is that? Where's that verse?
That's 11.
Oh, okay.
Her leaders take bribes when they decide legal cases, and then her priests proclaim rulings for profit, and her
Mm,
prophets read almonds for pay.
mm.
Yet they claim to trust the Lord and say, "The Lord is among
What? Oh my gosh. And then, in my version, no disaster will come upon us because the Lord is with us and we're totally
us."
doing everything right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're not. it's
Yes.
like it's like a doctor.
This
What this made
is,
me think about is like a doctor that is supposed to treat someone, but just takes your money and doesn't really do anything. But
yeah,
he's still
doesn't
saying, "Oh, you're gonna
heal.
get well. You're gonna get better." But he's really not doing anything. So that's pretty much it. Like, they're not doing any work, but they're just saying, "Oh, you'll heal."
Or even like instead of like telling you're sick, you know what? You're actually doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Pay me the money and I will tell you that you're actually doing well.
Right.
And then let's forget about this. You know.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, so just for like summary. So false prophets, according to the verse, we're not making this up, right? According
Oh yeah,
to
no,
Micah,
definitely not.
is that so first there's first he Michael was saying embrace justice, but that's not what's
Mm-hmm.
happening because like you said, the first few verses in chapter 3 were a little bit gory. Like
Yeah.
you hate good and you love evil. And then you tear the skin of my people and the flesh of their bones. You eat my people's flesh. You strip off their skin. It's like, yeah, like really, the person is left with nothing,
Yeah. You
right?
take
Almost,
everything away.
yes. And the sad part is that the people of God, the leaders, were doing it,
Yeah.
right? So now we're adding false prophets as an accomplice.
Yep.
So you said that the false prophets, they mislead people. So just like
Yes.
bullet points. Okay.
Yeah.
In
That's
my
5. It
version,
says it right there.
verse 5. Yeah, verse 5. And then in my version, it says here, they proclaim peace if they have something to eat. Like, so
Oh yeah.
what is your version? What does your version say?
Mine says, this is what the Lord has said about the prophets who mislead people. If someone gives them enough to eat, they offer an oracle of peace. But if someone does
Ooh.
not give them food, they're ready to declare war on them.
Oh my
Yeah.
word.
So it's like they're there
So
because of the food.
yeah,
Right? It's like, if you give me food, we're
comfort.
friends. If you
Yeah.
don't give me food, we're not friends. I don't know you.
Yeah. And not just that, I'm going to prophesy weird things about you.
How about you? Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna
almost like
declare
witchcraft.
war.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
It's
almost like
definitely witchcraft.
witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
Or like fortune tellers. Is that what fortune
Yeah.
tellers do? You come in, you pay money, and then tell me good
Right.
stuff.
If you don't pay money, yeah, they're gonna kick you out and curse you.
Yeah. Holy moly, this is intense.
So do you think what would be the analogy for food? Because I know it's not really saying food as in food, right? Like, do you think that it's not literally food?
Well, you know what? Okay, so
Or it could
I
be.
don't want to pretend like, yeah, I don't want to pretend like, okay, this is what exactly what it means. Because
Yeah.
we just know that when, translation is a lot more than direct meaning, right? There's a lot of things that are
Mm,
involved.
sure.
I always have this conversation because like I'm Filipino and then my husband is, American, and then he's studying ancient Near Eastern languages. And so we talk about like language translations all the time. And like we know direct translation doesn't work. Right?
True.
Like there's like English word and then what's the, let's say, you know, me clean in, you know, your translation or in your
In
mother
my
tongue.
in my language,
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
There's really no wait. Let me see. It's more like a phrase. Um,
More of a phrase.
yeah, like I don't think there's a word for clean. You're able to use it in a sentence. Like, let's say if something
Yeah.
is clean, like that it's dikme. So it's like that dikme is like it's right. But if you're going to say a place is clean, it would be a different word. So there's like no like there's not one word for it. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not
Like I
one
can't
to
just
one.
tell you,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And then
yeah,
there
I
has
can't
to be
just tell
some
you what word it
context.
is.
Right. Are you
Exactly. There has
talking
to be
about clean
context surrounding it.
clothes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or clean
Or a
hair?
place or a person. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, so I don't know if they have something to eat. Um, oh, let's check NET.
That's what I'm using.
Oh, okay. So what does it mean in NET? Because NET provides like a
Oh,
good
yeah,
good
that's true.
background.
Let me see. So it says, those who bite with their teeth and cry out peace. The phrase bites with the teeth is taken here as idiomatic for eating. Apparently, these prophets were driven by mercenary motives. If they were paid well, oh, it's money,
Mm.
they gave positive oracles to their clients. But if someone could not
Oh,
afford to
clients
pay,
now.
they
It's really turned into a business, yo.
it's a whole business. Could not if someone could not afford to pay them, they were hostile and delivered oracles of doom. Like the fortune tellers you were talking about,
Yeah,
that's
unlike
exactly what it
witchcraft. Oh
is.
my gosh.
Right. So if you don't pay them well, they'd be like, you're gonna die or something terrible. But if you paid them well, they'd be like, oh, everything's gonna be good. It's like the doctor thing again, that if you pay me
Yeah,
well, oh, your disease is cured.
yeah.
If you don't
You
pay me
know,
well,
right.
you're dying.
Well, the thing is, I know we're talking about this like in almost like very obvious way, but
Yeah.
during this time, it doesn't seem pretty obvious to them that it took, like God has to pick Micah out. Like, you need to tell them this is what's happening,
Oh, I
like
see.
using the prophetic gift for their own personal gain.
True.
And the difference between witchcraft and, like calling yourself as a prophet is that you're telling like, well, you know what, like God has a mark on it. Like God has his stamp on this. So you better listen to me.
To me, yeah.
And
Because if it's witchcraft, it's not of God, right? But
look,
you still have the prophetic gift. I mean, not like what God gives, but still you can make up stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And then it's um so that's even the abusive part, is that abusing the gift that God
Yeah.
placed on people to use it for their own personal gain, including, so that includes leadership in, the gift of prophecy.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
abusing your gift. Yeah, that's
And
good.
no, that's a timeless principle, because we still have a lot of, we still have leaders and prophets.
Hmm.
So it doesn't mean that this was over, right?
Yeah.
Like we still acknowledge those in our
Yeah.
churches and
Even today.
Christian
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's move into an encouraging one. What makes a true prophet?
Okay, that's 4, right? Oh wait, that's the
I think it has also in where are we at?
okay. What was that? 'Cause I felt like 3 just talked about all the bad ones.
That's true. There's one in verse 3, chapter 8. True prophet is, but as for me, I'm filled with the
Oh
power,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the spirit
Of
of the
the
Lord,
spirit.
and with justice and might,
Mm,
to declare to Jacob his transgression, to Israel his sin. I think so.
mm-hmm.
A true prophet is not afraid of declaring what is just in God's eyes.
Yeah,
You're not
and you
afraid to
hate
call out.
justice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be filled with the power of the Spirit of the Lord, because it's easy to call out injustices in so many different motivations,
Yeah.
right? And we do that all the time. But there has to be the infilling of the power of the Spirit of God in order to get God's heart, not just his idea of justice, but
Mm-hmm.
his heart on justice, right? Because he's all about reconciliation.
Yeah.
So if I speak justice that divides, that makes the division even more wider, and that puts people into like choosing one way or the other,
Mm-hmm.
versus like the spirit, being filled with the Spirit of God to with justice and might, to declare to Jacob his transgressions, to Israel his sin. But on chapter 4, for the purposes of reconciling them to God, right?
Yeah.
I think I like that part, that declaring
Yeah.
justice,
The
embracing
restoration.
justice,
Yeah.
yes, for the purposes of restoration.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, this is my favorite verse. Uh, chapter 4, verse 3. He will judge between many peoples and will settle disputes from strong nations far and wide. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. Everyone will sit under their own vine and under their own fig tree, and no one will make them afraid, for the Lord Almighty has spoken.
Ooh.
Right? So the restoration part is, isn't that amazing? Nation will not take up sword against nation. They will not train for war anymore, and then everyone will sit under their own vine and their fig tree, and not afraid that someone might steal from them, someone might attack them, some institution might take their land from them.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, because here it says that, and the footnote for Nat says, and there will be no one making him afraid. So making the people afraid. So it's like
yeah,
these leaders were stealing their stuff, and probably nobody felt safe and
yeah,
secure. But
yeah,
now, after the restoration, it's like these people are not there anymore, and so people can just breathe and be like, no one's coming after me. So
chill,
yeah.
relax, be in a hammock. Right? That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. It's like it reminds me of the verse last week that said that the Lord who breaks barriers. Was that what it said? Yes. It's when, because it talked about all that destruction, but then towards the end it talked about restoration like this, where
Mhm.
he's gonna gather everyone back and restore
Right.
and all of that. And it's like
Yeah.
the Lord who breaks barriers is like, once he declares that will happen, it will happen, and he will, break all these barriers to make sure it happens. It reminds me of that.
Yeah, I think that was the verse that we shared was like Ephesians chapter 4, when Jesus said like Jesus was our peace and he came to break the dividing wall, to bring two groups into one and form like a new humanity. So this is like God's vision that, for both parties, that there will be reconciliation, like no more plotting of what other people has, or have, right? So that everybody can sit in their own, vine, on their own fig tree, and you're not afraid. I like that there's no fear. Okay, well, we have 3 minutes left. This is amazing. This is so good.
It is.
This is so good.
Sorry,
is there anything else you want to add?
Oh no, I was just reading that over again. Because when I read it the first time, I don't think that's what I got from it. Like, it's just like after talking about it, it hit me a lot.
Well,
harder.
this is why we do it though. Like when we talk about it, there's always like, what? There's always something. Yeah. So okay, well, do you want to read that could be our last. You want to read your version, an ET version of that part? Like verse.
So that 3. So that's 3, right? Okay. He will arbitrate between many peoples and settle disputes between many distant nations. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations will not use weapons against other nations, and they will no longer train for war. That's the end of 3.
Wow. Yeah. But what about verse 4? Everyone will sit.
Oh yeah, sure. Each will sit under his own grapevine or under his own fig tree without fear. Nice. I think it's pretty similar to yours.
Yeah.
But I like they will beat their swords into plowshares. So it's like something that used to be a weapon of destruction is now something for more productive things, and like they
cultivate. Girl, that's a good one. Girl, that's
and then
a
the
good
spears
one.
into pruning hooks. Like I just thought about that. Yeah, like from destruction to cultivating. That's great.
Oh, well, what about you said spears into pruning hooks? Okay, so what?
Yeah.
What does pruning hooks look like?
Hooks. I guess it's for pruning. So, well, let me read the footnote because I don't know, but it says this. It says this implement was used to prune vines. So I guess it's, I don't know. Again. Well, I don't think they're shears, but maybe I really don't know how they look like. I'm not gonna lie, but they're going to be used for cutting extra leaves. Like just pruning stuff. Yeah, it says it was a short knife with a curved hook at the end, sharpened on the inside like a sickle. Oh, so now the spears are going to be used for that instead. But that's a good thing because you're now pruning trees instead of killing people, like destroying. So
yeah. So from like destruction to like cultivation.
Cultivating, yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a good prophecy right there. I know it didn't start very encouraging, but then like
I know. When I started reading this, I was like, what's good about this? Why are we doing this?
Yeah. But
it just got so gory. And then I like how it starts and ends with on a note of hope,
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you for sharing. Yay.
Thank you for sharing. I learned so much.
Me too. I think we have 3, 4, 5. So 3 more studies on Micah.
Oh, okay.
And then we're probably going to move to the next prophet. Because now we're beginning to like it. Like the first one was like really like, what?
Yeah, I know. The first one was a struggle for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, bye, Loretta.
Bye. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All
bye.
right.
Bye.